So after, let's say, 10 years hating Muslims and Arabs, Moroccans, I found myself living with them. I was so hurt of my life. I actually bought a ticket. I didn't even have a house. I didn't even have a job. I didn't know anybody. I just flew to Portsmouth, well, to London. I arrived there at 9 p.m. and I was wondering, where am I going to sleep today? I found a house, and that house was the reason why today I'm a Muslim. Alhamdulillah. So when I found this amazing house, I just found it online. So I found this Muslim guy. And I was like, oh, this looks a bit dodgy. I don't want to live with Muslims. That was my only option. So I arrived at the house, and the guy owned 2 houses. So both the houses were together. And I found myself living with 9 Arabs from Kuwait. So after, let's say, 10 years hating Muslims and Arabs, Moroccans, I found myself living with them. So that was a shock. That was, what is this? Like, what am I doing here? So obviously I kept my hatred away because I was like, this is a new life I'm starting. I cannot hate people because of my own perspectives or my own opinion. After a couple of days, they offered me to go out with them and have food with them. And ever since that happened, they actually took care of me the most, even more than my own family. They fed me, they took care of me, they listened to me, they spent time with me. They knew I was a bit broke, I didn't have money. They would pay for my stuff. So that was like, after a week of living with them, my previous hate was, Alhamdulillah, removed completely. I was like, I've been so wrong for my entire life that now I'm looking into life from a different point of view. So after a few months, I was pretty interested in Islam. I was like, this sounds like a logical thing, you know? So my landlord asked me to move with him to his house to know more about Islam. Because living with the guys, eventually they were my age, but they had to do some uni things and going out, learning English and stuff, so I couldn't focus completely on Islam. So he took that chance to teach me. So I moved in with him, and I remember every day, wallahi, learning about Islam. Sometimes it got too much, because I still had that defensive attitude from, being a Christian. I said, I will eventually become a Muslim. So he was like, okay, fair enough. He never pushed it. He never told me I had to do it. So as things moved on, maybe 6-7 months went by, and I had to do some exams, university exams. I was a bit stressed. I was a bit tired with assessments and everything. So I needed some help. So I was praying on my own. Just, please God, help me, because I need help. Eventually I passed everything, Alhamdulillah. But at the time I was studying, I also wondered, if I was to become a Muslim, how does that work? Do I have to undergo any kind of ritual? Do I have to do anything? But that was in the back of my mind. I never searched for it. I did hear something about Shahada, but I never knew what that meant or anything. So I was at home, and I was reading my notes, and I was studying. I was, doing my uni work. And I was a bit tired, so let's have a break. And I took the phone. I got on YouTube, first video, wallahi, how to become a Muslim. I was like, how is this possible? I just had it in the back of my mind, and now it's coming up. So I pressed it, and there was an Arab who was a Christian who just reverted to Islam, surprisingly. I was like, let's have a look at the video. So the guy at the beginning of the video said, this video is going to be emotional. I didn't believe it. I was like, okay, I had this arrogance in me. So the guy went through his story, through his journey and everything, and then he said, I will actually take the Shahada in the video, in front of everybody. I was like, okay, so this is the thing called Shahada, so let's see what it is. So when he said the Shahada, I cried out. Wallahi, I started crying. I heard the words in Arabic, and I cried. And I was like, yeah, actually, it was very emotional. I stopped the video, and I told myself, I am becoming a Muslim. Now. I'm not delaying it. I'm not gonna wait. Because I knew it made sense. It made sense for me. But I still had that arrogance before. But when I heard the Shahada entirely, I was like, this is it. I never heard it before. I called my friend, and I said, please, set things up. I'm becoming a Muslim today. That was the most beautiful moment of my life. Hearing the Shahada and taking the Shahada. I always had this bad impression of Arabic because of how, Moroccans would speak, because I hated them. So I hated Arabic. But when I heard those words, I was like, I love this language. I love it, and I love Islam, and I love Muslims, and I love everybody. So everything, it was like the burden I had on my shoulders took off, literally. I heard that Muslims were in Spain for a long period of time, but in the schools they tend to remove that part from the history, and they start from how America was found, from the Spanish and the Queen, the King of Spain. So that Islamic, all the time the Muslims were there, that is removed, so you don't get to know that. Once I discovered the true Islamic life in Spain for 800 years, I figured that whatever I didn't learn, I should have learned it before. Because I was so amazed in the life, how they lived, how they treated people, how they protected people, the Jewish and the Christians, they all lived in a community. That is a beautiful example of a nation. And that was so surprising and so fulfilling in my heart, that the Muslims, now me being a Muslim, I'm part of it. Knowing that they would protect the people, they would fight for the rights, they would have, as we call now, human rights. You know, that was so impressive and so amazing.